Dog jumping up and down on my knee.
What's the dog's name?
Pepper.
Hello, Pepper. Okay, everybody, welcome. I feel like we've not been live for ages, but that's only because we took last week off. That it feels like I've actually missed being here. So hello, everyone. If you missed us from last week, we are back. And you know the rest of us, but we want to say hello to our guest panelist, Regina. Hello, my love.
Hello.
If you don't know her, Regina, can you remind people what you do? Because you've just been doing some incredible things lately, and I think it's only fair that you tell us what you've been doing.
I can. What have I been doing? Oh my God. Well, basically, at the bare bones of it, I'm a visibility strategist. So I help give people the ultimate visibility to the right people. But actually, a huge part of what I do is offering inclusive networking spaces for people from marginalised communities. And I do that by creating spaces for them to come, unmasked and unfiltered, but also being really honest about my experiences at events where I haven't been able to do that. So this was the perfect one for you to invite me to. Right? I was like, oh, yes.
So I sent listen, everybody's doing some incredible things right now. I actually didn't think that Ige was going to join us because Ige has got, what have you got? You've got TEDx on Saturday.
So
I was expecting
exciting
and stuff. So yeah, so I sent a couple of messages out like late last night going, if you're around, this is what we're going to talk about. So if you are somebody who's watching and you think, oh my goodness, I've got something to add to this panel, then just give us your name and we will message you when we need you. Regina's been on, I think, 3 or 4 times now and stuff, so she's a familiar face. But yeah, EJ, I don't know why I'm saying EJ because I said Regina, I'm going to EJ. Oh my goodness.
Sorry.
What are you doing? What on earth? Yeah, that's what you do. Yeah. So EJ, all the best on Saturday. We know you're gonna smash it and stuff.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just tell everybody about our show when you're there. Listen, before I start, can I just tell you that we do a live every Wednesday and stuff? And by the way,
are you allowed to tell us what the title is?
Yes. So the title is Before You Look Away, Look Again. And those of you who've heard me tell my Medusa story, this is sort of like me memorializing it, if you like, but in a very different context from what anybody else has heard. But that's the title, Before You Look Away, Look Again.
Brilliant. And will we be able to watch it like on YouTube or anything after the event?
Yes. When it's uploaded, I will share it everywhere. Yes. I just can't believe it. I can't believe I'm shocked, but it's happening.
No, listen. No, I'm sorry. Like we were talking about you the other day, EJ and stuff, and myself and Rochelle, and we were talking like the stages you've graced have been, to me, it's just like a natural progression. I'm gutted I can't be there. I was going to surprise you and stuff. And
Victoria, I know. I'm cried if I'd seen you in the audience. I know. You'd have messed up my talk.
I'm gutted I can't be there. Like last week has just been. Last week I did 4 events and I'm done. Like I've done a rain dance, it's raining. So yeah, so I can't. I like literally, but I'm gonna be there with you and sending you prayers. Like you know, I know it's gonna be amazing anyway. Anyway, we are talking today about events. One of the reasons why is because I know it's event season. You've got people up for awards. Some of us have been at events, like I say, 4 days last week and stuff. It's like I don't know how I did it, but I did it. I know Rochelle was at some events. I know, like literally, and it's intriguing because I want to know how you show up at events. Like, what does that look like? Because I went with about 40 different people, even though I didn't know them well. I think I've met them maybe once or twice. But I can honestly tell you that my experience there was very different to theirs. So I'm going to put it out to Regina. how do you show up at events? And this could be in any context whatsoever.
It kind of depends. So when it comes to business events, I'm now very conscious of walking into the rooms as my version of what excellence is, because there's this perceived view of what an entrepreneur should look like. You know, some people come in suited and booted and all dressed up, and actually for me, I want to be comfortable, because if I'm not comfortable, you're not getting the best version of me. And being an energetic being, that's how I connect with people, based on their energy, not based on what you're wearing, not based on whether my eyebrows are on, right? Do you know what I mean? Really just based on a level of comfort. But also I want to walk into a room looking and feeling beautiful, but by my standards. That's taken a long time for me to procure and to develop, because especially as a Black woman, this whole idea of Black excellence almost feels very monolithic, doesn't it? Like, this is what it looks like. I'm not the drip person. I'm not going to be walking in wearing designer everything, because that's how I feel successful. Success, actually, for me at an event is, how many new people have I met? How many new people have I met, and how many lovely and enticing conversations have I had at this event? And actually, for me to be able to go in as confidently as I can, because I'm not great at going into spaces where I know nobody. Okay, yeah. So there's a whole process that I have to go through to kind of show up and be like, now you get this version of me. I have to go in feeling comfortable and a little bit pretty, right? You know, we all do that. I want to feel comfortable. I want to feel pretty. I want to feel radiant. But actually, that's now by my standards, not by standards that other people have met. But also, I'm really very conscious about this whole idea of what professionalism looks like. And actually, both you, Ije, and you, Victoria, when I saw the first time I saw you, we were at Big Festoon, right? And actually, the thing that tied me to both of you was what came out your mouth, right? What you said, right? And I was like, this was magic. That was it, right? That was it now. Ije, as always, just looks statuesque and beautiful wherever she goes.
Oh, thank you.
And then Victoria just walked all in all ethereal and spiritual. And I was like, oh my God, these are my kind of people. Right. And that was it, because both of you came in authentically just as you. That's it. And wherever I see Victoria, I can spot Victoria, because actually how she presents herself is her brand, right? We all see that. And we all know that Ije is going to just walk in like how everybody's head's going to turn and be like, Jesus Christ, how do I stand next to her? Right? That's a huge part of who you are. But we walk in as ourselves, don't we? And that for me is really important. And I need you both to understand that you patterned that for me as well. And I took that as permission to be able to go into these spaces and do the same. So now I walk in mostly a pair of jeans or some level of comfortable trousers, and with some trainers. I had my Air Force Ones on at the at an event the other day. Nobody could see them, but I knew they were there.
Yeah.
Right? I was like, yeah. Right? And I was really excited. I don't do heels. I'm never going to wear them.
Good girl.
Yeah.
Rochelle, how do you show up at events? Any context? It doesn't have to be close,
So I really love this topic, because I know that I need to make more of a conscious effort of why I'm going to events, what I'm looking to get out of it. Like, I can be two versions of myself, one that will move around the room and talk to absolutely everyone, and one that will hide in a corner and not really want to make conversation unless someone comes up to me. And it often does depend like on my cycle as well, like which version of me is showing up. So I can't always predict. I can have the best of intentions and go, I want to go there, I want to network, I want to meet some people I can do business with, and then as it comes to the day I'm due on, I'm feeling antisocial, and I'm sticking to the people that I know, and not really spreading my wings. Or I can be that social butterfly who just goes in and talks to absolutely everyone and has the best time. So I do find that quite difficult to know which version of myself is going to be at an event, and I wish it was predictable. I was saying to Victoria actually the other day, when I feel like sometimes when I'm going to events where I already know somebody, I can end up like sticking to them a little bit, whereas I probably need to go to events more on my own so I can move around the room and get more but yeah, I think I suppose it depends on what spaces you go into and what you're going for, what the other people are there for too. What I find difficult is being any sort of fake. So I hate it when I'm having to try and pretend to be interested in a conversation, or when someone's talking to me for too long and I want to get away. Like, I feel very uncomfortable at saying, right, I need to move on and speak to other people. I also hate interrupting other people's conversations. So I'll wait. You'll have even noticed when I came on this call, you three were already here and you were deep in conversation. I just sit back and wait until it's like now my time to talk. So that can be really difficult when you're networking, because everyone's deep in conversations and I'm like just waiting to see someone stood on their own who I can go up to and start having a conversation, or wait for a break in the conversation. So I feel like these are things that I struggle with, that I think, like Victoria, I know you're amazing at all these things. I feel like people who are listening who feel like me will have a lot to learn from you and your networking expertise.
Bless you. Bless you. Everybody's been so nice to me. Don't. I'm feeling very tender over the last couple of days. So it won't take much for me to cry, just so you know and stuff. So thank you. EJ, how do you show up at events?
I think my answer may shock all of you, but I am the most insecure. Anywhere outside my house, I am quiet. I know I don't seem it, I don't look it, and especially if I'm speaking, I come across as this superwoman with the high heels and the big hair. But I'm happy to be vulnerable and to admit that is my mask. And that is what I sort of fall back on, because I'm on a journey where I feel like I'm on this journey where I feel like I haven't got much else. I know that's not true. You know, I know that's up here. I know that's not true. I know I have a lot to offer, and I know that I know I'm amazing. But when I have to show up, it never starts off confident, ever. And maybe because I'm not in the business world like you three are. Maybe because I'm not needing to, and needing to is the wrong word, because I do have a business, but maybe because I'm not that much into the business world yet. So I actually avoid networking events if I can. Because like Rochelle said, what am I looking to gain out of this event? I'm thinking, God, I'm afraid somebody's going to try and sell me something, and I'm not looking to buy anything. And then I don't have anything to sell. Or so I do have something to sell. I just don't know how to sell it. And there's all these conversations going on in my head. And then there's the whole thing of, they're going to look at me. I happen to have been born tall. So now I'm tall. Now I have my high heels. And now I look like this person, and they're going to make assumptions. So I'm having these conversations in my head. They're going to make assumptions about who they think I am, and I am none of those things. The heels that I wear have become what I am comfortable in, because one leg is shorter than the other. So I'm trying to have sass. The hair is just what it is. I don't want to ever need a hairbrush, so I do hairstyles and don't require that. So it's one of them. So it's about the full story, isn't it? So the way I turn up at events, being honest with you all, as business women, as women, as human beings, is I know I look a certain way. And now I look that way now. I've now made it that I look that way on purpose. Like you say, Victoria, the way you look is your brand. We can spot you a million miles away. That's your brand. So I am now more purposeful in the way I'm comfortable when I feel like, unfortunately, I fall back on those things. Now, when you now ask me to speak to other people, I don't remember a situation where I've ever walked up to someone first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. I think my answer will shock you. I've never, in my adult life recently, now with having a business and being in the same circles as you ladies, that there is nowhere that I've been to. The Big Festoon, where I've met you a couple of times now, there's nowhere that I've been to where I have approached anybody first. I don't know how to do it.
Okay.
You don't need to.
So yeah, so here's the thing. And so since nobody's going to ask me the question, it's okay. I'll ask myself the question. Victoria,
How about you, Victoria? How about you?
How do you turn up?
how do I turn up? So I first and foremost, I think you have to be really intentional. So about where you go. I remember years ago, I used to be that person who would get invited to everything. And I'm not talking in business, I'm talking in life in general. And all somebody had to say was, oh, we're going to go here. Do you want to? Oh, I'd be there. I'd get my flight booked. I'd go to these places. And what I decided to do when I went into business, even though some people may not agree, is that I was like, I'm going to be intentional about everywhere I go. So in my first couple of years in business, I went everywhere. I went to every single event that was available because I wanted to see whether they were aligned for me or not. And then without any guilt, I made sure that there were certain events that I just didn't go back to. So, and there's some events that I've never been to, and energetically, they just weren't for me at all. Now, when I say energetically, my energy, not necessarily theirs. So they probably, it just, for me, it wasn't like, I don't know how this aligns to my purpose, why I'm here on this earth and what it's going to do. Now, that does not mean that there wouldn't be somebody there that could help me or that I could help. But in the big scheme of things, if you ever listen to any of what I say, I always talk about spending your energy wisely. Like, where can you go and spend your energy so that you come out with abundance rather than a place of lack? I don't ever want to leave somewhere depleted. I have no intention of doing that. Nobody on this earth is worth, even my parents, as much as I love them, are worth me expending my energy for in that way. So that for me is always the first process. We've talked about looks. So let's talk about looks. Looks to me is the more I connected to who I am and my purpose in the world, it just evolved. It was never intentional. So it's really funny when the three of you go, oh, you can spot Vic from the side, that's a brand. It was never meant to be a brand. I think Danny Wallace once said to me going, oh, that's your brand. I went, it's not. It was never intended to be my brand. Like, it just, these glasses are here because my glasses from Specsavers kept on breaking. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to go for big glasses. Intuitively, I was like, if I go for thicker glass frames, then they're going to last longer. That was the whole thing. It was never a plan. My dresses, when I was younger, my parents never really allowed me to wear traditional outfits. I don't know why. And as soon as I could afford it myself, I started sewing like maybe one or two. And then by the time my purpose had come through, my whole wardrobe is it. Like, there's really no normal clothes in my wardrobe. But also, I'm a big woman. I don't know if you've noticed and stuff. So I ain't no size 8. And I remember being a teen and hating shops like Evans. And the reason why I hated Evans was because they never made, it was almost like somebody just took a piece of material and went, this will do. And I've never been a this will do girl. So I was always like, I'm always going to create my own narrative around clothes. I'm not a fashion designer. I wish I found a great tailor who I could sponsor and grow into a successful brand. But all my clothes are designed. So when I go to an event, I know I almost get a vision of what colors I want to wear before the actual event. And with shoes, I've got big feet. So for someone who's got big feet, that used to hurt in shoes, I would always take my shoes off. I started taking my shoes off at the age of about 6 in school. So I'd go to school and I'd come back to my dad's car with my trainers in my hands, and my dad would go mad. And it's never stopped. I've always taken my shoes. So now I turn up with no shoes. People find it fascinating. So when I walk into an event, I am walking in as me, and there's nothing I would change. There's nobody's designer outfit that I would look at and go, I wish I was wearing that. There's nothing that I don't have any clothes envy, hair envy. My hair, I'm very, very careful about who does my hair. I have an amazing hairdresser now in Sheffield who does my hair, but if not, I will have hair extensions, wigs made, designed for me that go onto my head, like literally nothing. And it's not expense, it's non-negotiable. Does that make sense? And then I'm going to touch quickly on about meeting people and talking to people, because I know what I'm going there for. And I always say this, whether I'm speaking on stage or whether I'm just going to go meet people, I always pray first and I ask for guidance that whatever I say is valid to the people who hear me. And that whatever I need to know, may God put that in my path so that at least somehow we can touch base. And it works every single time. That I will walk up to people. But like this last event, which was really interesting, is that even though I walked up to people, by the end of the event, it was a 2-day event, I felt like I was in surgery because people just keep on coming and coming and coming and coming. And by the end of it, I was exhausted. By the end of it, I was like, we're done. Find me on Instagram, find me on LinkedIn. But I think it's a planning thing. So AJ's talked about not speaking to people first, like she waits for people to come to her.
Oh, no. I don't wait for people to come to me. That makes me sound like a snob.
She waits.
Like a diva. like a diva.
No,
Diva
it's
is
not like that. No, it's not that I wait for people to come to me. I hope that somebody will notice that I want to talk to them, but I just don't. It's like Rochelle saying, she doesn't want to go and interrupt someone's conversation. I sit down, and again, I have to say, when it comes to networking, it's a whole world that I didn't know existed until I met you ladies. The Big Festoon was my first ever, and what a scale that was my first ever introduction into the whole, oh my God, they all know each other. And then come up from the event, and I have a whole new Facebook. My Facebook is completely different because I've added people have added me. It's a whole new community. So I'm learning. I'm not quite there. I still don't know what networking is. I'm watching Regina very, very carefully and seeing what it's about, what she's doing, the network. I am watching. I'm not engaged, but I am watching. I just don't know what my place is yet. But when we go to physical events and stuff, I do want to speak to people. And it's not that I'm waiting for them to speak to me. I'm hoping.
If you see EJ at an event, it's not like she's been a diva. Please go and speak to her.
And if I have my dark sunglasses on, it's because it's too bright.
So I've got a question then, Regina. You've just started the network. Clever name, though. Clever name. Like, listen. You know when they say what's yours is yours? Like, you couldn't make it up, right? Like, everybody else is trying to find a way to network, and you just nailed the name down.
Did it.
And what have you? Yeah, not being invited.
It is what it is, right? And what is that?
Not being invited to speak yet. Not being invited to speak yet, but just hinting that and stuff. It's like, we don't. But no, the question I was going to ask is: have you been to an event where you have got what you went for?
Yes, in essence.
Yeah.
Yes, especially now because I'm more conscious about the spaces that I put myself in. When you first start out, although similar to you, I was like, oh, I'm going to go there, and oh, I'm going to go there. And actually, when you go to spaces, I was just like, I didn't really like that. Now that I know, now that I have my own networking group, I know what I'm looking for when I go to other spaces, especially as someone, I have ADHD, right? So I need somewhere that's going to be inclusive for my, like, is there somewhere I can go and have an autistic meltdown if I need to, right? Because I might. Generally, it's done the day before, but I might, right? Is there somewhere I can go and just, is this somewhere where I have to mask any part of me? So I do my due diligence. I do look at how inclusive spaces are. I now really don't like being the only Black person in the room. Like, what's that about? I'm over it. I'm over it. Like, I'm over it. Why are we still doing this?
Don't get me started.
Why are we still doing it? Because there's an element of pressure, right, that comes with being, in fact, not even just the only Black, but the only person of colour. Sometimes you're just like, okay, I just need to see what your audience is, who else is there, who are you speaking, and I'll really do my due diligence in there because I'm just kind of over that. So now the spaces that I do go into, when you say, do I get what I needed out of it? Often it's a yes, because sometimes I'll find out it's the right space for me and sometimes I'll find out it's not. And if it's not, I'll know, okay, that's not the space that I'm meant to be in. But now that I'm more conscious about what I need as not just as a business owner, but just as a person. For instance, with the network, the way we do things, it's all community connection, collaboration, education, right? And those are the things that I really need, like community. Like, am I going to go make a new friend? If I've made a new friend in a space, I'm like, yay, me, right? Because that's the like, I'm happy, right?
Yeah.
Have I like made a connection that is actually going to improve my body soul business, right, in some way? Because actually, a lot of, although I'm an entrepreneur, I'm all about the expansive. I want to learn new things. When I was at Big Festoon, one of the people I met, the newest people I met at the last Big Festoon was a lady who did palm readings. The only palm readers I'd ever come across were in Birmingham City Centre, and she had one of those lovely gypsy caravans and you used to go in. And I was always really intrigued by her. I never read her. This woman could have told me what my life was just by looking at my palms. And I was just like, that stayed with me. Now, Big Festoon was how long ago? Right. I'm like, I'm still thinking about, she was insane, like amazing. And I was just like, just from having that connect, and bear in mind, I was on the stage this time and that was my biggest experience because I'd met this person who was amazing, right? She was just amazing. So sometimes it can just be that I've just made a lovely connection with somebody. It's not necessarily all, and I feel like that's what a lot of networking spaces are missing. I was invited into our local BNI the other day and it was an absolute hell no. Right, I'm not even going to look. I don't even care who else is there, but I just know that this is not for me because when I first started out and I went to BNI, and I hate to call them out, but
I hate BNI. I'm sorry, BNI, but it's not.
I hate it. It's just not for me. It's too toxic masculine for me.
Very regimented and
not very inclusive. I remember I went and they were like, "Oh, we've already got a web designer." Oh, all right, love. There are 3 in the group that I've got in my group, and we all just nerd out on each other, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't really matter. It's collaboration over competition has to be a thing, and so it's really just about finding these spaces and networking for me because I'm so people curious. Like, tell me about you. Tell me about your life. Tell me everything. I could tell you nothing about me, and I've just listened. I'd just be like, right, okay, I think I love this person. We're friends now. Right, that's it, and that's what I wanted the network to be, is a space where you can just come, breathe, have a conversation about what's working, what's not working. If you don't know something, have that. Sometimes we'll bring people in to educate us on something, and actually that could be, again, mind, body, soul business. We've got a woman coming in teaching us about crystal healing because I love crystals. And who doesn't love a crystal? Like, you might love it, not love it, you've learned something. And actually the lady who's coming in is lovely. She's like a beautiful soul. So let's introduce her to people, and maybe she now has community out of it. And it's literally, that's really all it needs to be, because when it comes to networking and when it comes to your business, a lot of people go in about, I've got to go in and I've got to sell and I've got to try and get as many clients as I can, right?
Yeah.
That's not what it's about. Really.
Yeah, that freaks me out. That's what freaks me out.
It's a trust, isn't it?
I don't want that.
Trust. Yeah.
I don't want that. What I do want is to make enough of a connection to someone that actually they'll speak good about me when I'm not in the room.
Yeah. Rochelle, do you get what you want when you go to events?
So it was interesting actually, because when you were speaking then, Regina, I was thinking, well, at first, if you'd asked me how well I networked last week Thursday when I was in London, I was like, oh, I didn't talk to enough people. I didn't work the room. I didn't like make enough connections. But then thinking back, I was like, actually, I can think of like, there's probably like maybe 5 or 6 really good conversations that I had, and that people going forward, next time I see them, like that relationship will build further. I'm seeing them online. I'm commenting on the post. We've had little conversations in messages, and those relationships are growing. And I think it's just, I just want to be able to talk to absolutely everyone, and because I can't physically do that, then I get frustrated and feel like I've not done a good enough job of work in the room. But I think if I can go somewhere and just get a few new relationships, a few new people to notice me and start like engaging with me online and build those relationships, then actually that's probably all I need to make an event successful.
I don't think, and the thing is, it's quite interesting because I used to have that thing where I'd leave an event and go, I didn't speak to everybody, or I'd feel that guilt, and I joke about it, but I've done it before where I'll go to an event and then I'll send messages after going, I'm so sorry I never got to speak to you and stuff like, oh God, please let's reconnect and what have you. But I believe, Rochelle, that you do quality over quantity. I believe that you go into spaces and that's your whole life, really, to be fair, is that you're really good at just deciding where you're going to spend that energy. And even though you might see it as being shy, you speak to the people that you need to speak to, and everybody else you'll touch base with whenever you can. And that's not being derogatory to everybody else. Now, you guys talked about what's the word? Sort of like inclusivity and everything else. I went to 4 events this week. What was really clear, there was one event where I think there was one black man there, and I actually pulled him up on it. Not that it was his fault, but I was like, but I'm talking to you because you are the only black man there. And do you know what's so cool was that he's actually quite a prominent individual. I didn't know that at the time, but I was like, I'm going to talk to you. How are you? What brought you here? And we looked at each other and went, we've met each other before, but we couldn't remember where we had. But anyway, turns out to be a really great guy. But I went to him because I was like, hi, how are you here? What are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And even when he told me what he was doing, it still didn't it still didn't click why he was here. But at the second event I went to, in the VIP area, I was the only black woman. Now, I believe that depending on where you're brought up, you will notice this sooner than not. I feel like if you're of Jamaican heritage, you notice this quicker than of African heritage. So when I walk into a room, I don't realize that I'm the only black woman.
Yeah.
And then after a while, it dawns. I think my Jamaican sisters notice it a lot quicker. But yeah. So okay, good. That's good. So I was there and stuff, and I was relaxing and just scanning the room. I didn't even know the people I was sat with. But then later on, I realized that there was only 2 black dudes there as well. And there was one guy who I was like, I want to talk to him. Like I was really quite, and all security were black as well. Here's another thing: all security were black. But there was this one particular guy at this event who was in VIP, and I was like, I need to talk to him. I don't know why, but I need to talk to him. Turns out that this guy again was quite prolific in the industry and stuff, which again is a good thing for me because then I networked wisely. But what was also interesting was outside the VIP, it was more inclusive. So yeah, but again, that's a choice. You decide whether you're going to buy or not, blah, blah. But it was really interesting because initially I was like, oh, I'm at an event where I'm the only black girl and there's 2 black guys. And again, to me, it's not an issue as such, but I'm like, I'm very aware of it. It's just like in the personal development world. I feel like there's more white people than there are any other race. So I'm like, why are you, my black sister, black brother, not interested in that? And I'll be honest with you, there are people who I've approached and said, why don't you come into the personal development? And they're not willing to do so. They think it's a lot of money. They think that, like, they literally don't see the point, which is fair enough. But when we went outside the VIP to the open, oh my God, it was colorful. You didn't know, like literally, it was just a mix, right? It was just a mix of individuals. So in a way, I almost feel as if I'd made a judgment on the event without looking deeper into it, if that makes sense. Because just from the VIP area, it looked like an all-white event, but actually it wasn't. It was quite a quirky, all-inclusive event. And as soon as they opened the non-VIP doors, we had all sorts come through and stuff. And you're like, okay. You know, it's like the outfits, the colors, everything. It was just so vibrant and stuff. Like, even put my dress to shame and what have you. And I went colorful.
But there's also this idea of, and I wholeheartedly kind of subscribe to that, if you can't be, if you can't see it, right? So I'm going to walk into rooms where I have my peers too. So I want to see people who look like me, people from other marginalised groups, people with similar lived experience to mine. I'm going to put myself in spaces where people don't have that, because I mean, that's okay too. And actually, where you are sounds actually really diverse. And I get you on the VIP thing. I totally get it. I'd have been like, 2 other black people, we're all right. Right? Okay. Because for one perspective is I'm assessing it for my safety, because there have been spaces where I haven't been or felt safe. I've been to networking groups where somebody has made a beeline for me, and I've been the only Black person in that space, and they've started a whole discussion about why they can't say the N-word. And I'm like,
That's interesting. Do you know what? It's so funny because I don't know who I said this to. I was like, I don't know if I like the word safe because I don't know what it means. And again, it depends on your lived experience, because I've never experienced that. Like literally, if somebody came to me with that, I would walk away. Like it's like, where are you crazy? What gives you the right to think that we can?
I think with stuff like that, with the inclusivity from whichever angle you look at it, female, from the racial angle, disability, from whatever angle that you look at it from, that is you being that there is a, I don't know if you've heard of the concept of onlyness.
yes,
When you are the only anything in a room, first of all, you're a human being like everybody else with everybody else's lived experience, and we all have bills and we need money and we want our help. We have those problems. But then when you're the only person of whatever characteristic, you have that added on thing. And when you walk into a room, I mean, first of all, just walking into the room, first of all, for some people takes quite a lot. So when they're walking and you say you assess the safety based on, am I the only or not? If you are not the only, rightly or wrongly, you may start to feel a bit, okay, they're used to seeing people who have this characteristic, so maybe, they will be nicer to me, or maybe they'll be more hospitable. What I would say is to people who organize events, even if you have made your event as accessible and as inclusive as possible, look out for the onlys. Because if they've walked into the room, please be mindful that it's not your opportunity. It's not an opportunity for them to become an ambassador for whatever it is you have identified on their body. It's not an opportunity for them to become an ambassador for people in wheelchairs, an ambassador for Black women, an ambassador for... They haven't come to that event for that. After you have built rapport, and you guys are friends, and you're giving each other high fives, you can ask them why you can't say the N-word. If they choose to answer you, great. If they choose
honestly, this was my first conversation with this dude.
Exactly. Build rapport. When you build rapport, then you know what kind of conversation this person might be open to. But if they've walked in and they are, not one of the many, then be conscious that, that is, whether we like it or not, it is a thing that I am the only Black woman here. It's a thing. I can't avoid it. You can't avoid it. It is a fact that I look different from everybody for whatever reason. So let's sort of help me get over that barrier first. Let's build some rapport based on why I came here, which is a business networking thing. If we become friends, then you can ask me whatever the hell you want.
So I'm going to ask Rochelle this question as well, but because Rochelle, I want to know, as someone who's mixed race, whether you've experienced this. But before I say this, I want to say, again, it's interesting because we've got 3 Black women here with 3 very different experiences. I never feel singled out to have that conversation, because I think that also, if somebody came to me and asked me that question that Regina was asked, one of the things, and this is why I talk about intuition so much, is looking beyond the person and seeing where they're coming from, because a lot of these people are so insecure, they're almost like conversation fillers. And if you're a conversation filler, like, I don't even get offended by it, because I'm just like, you literally don't know what to say. So you're thinking, I'm going to say anything rather than nothing. Does that make sense? Like, I don't even, like I've seen that happen in people, but it's really interesting. Sorry, I was going to say Regina, then Rochelle, have you experienced this as someone of mixed race? And it could be because you're the only mixed race person, or you're the only
woman,
white person, or Black person, or woman and stuff. Like, you've got more personalities than me by the looks of it, or identifications than me. So.
Yeah. So I suppose for me, like, I do notice it a lot that I'm the darkest person in the room, and that can feel uncomfortable, because I feel like it makes me then stand out as being someone different. And again, like, that's crazy to think that, like, as light as I am sometimes the darkest person in rooms. what I've noticed since being an entrepreneur, and I've really loved it, is that I've been, especially being like part of Expert Empires in Birmingham, is like there are so many well, that's where I met Victoria, and like being around so many amazing Black people, because it's not something that I'd say majority of my life I've been surrounded by white people. There weren't very many Black people in my schools, or like where, even though I got brought up in a very multicultural area, I then went to a school in a more affluent area where it wasn't as mixed. So to then go to these places where I'm now getting to meet all these amazing, inspiring Black people, like that's an like, I love it. But I can also feel, as a mixed race person, I go into a room full of Black people, and I'm now like, I'm the
lightest in
lightest
the room.
person, and I'm conscious that I'm not Black enough, and I'm not like, maybe I've not got enough like of my Black culture, and like, and I don't eat the same kind of food, and there's all this pressure of I don't actually fit into to either category. And then I'm like, I'm not as marginalized, because I can almost blend into either side and not have that, like, I've not particularly experienced massive racism, but people just say really annoying things. That, like, I had one guy, when I told him where I was from in Sheffield, and he was like, oh, you're not dark enough to be from that place. And I'm like, what does that mean? like people just say really stupid things. Or people say, so like, where are you from? I'm like, oh, I'm from Sheffield. But no, where are you really from? Like, well, so my dad's full Jamaican, but he's never actually even been to Jamaica. So he's from Sheffield also. And my mom is half Italian, but again, she was born in Sheffield. So no, I'm from Sheffield. And that actually, I've been seeing on social media, I don't know if you've seen, there was a tennis player who was Welsh, who, and she visually, she's Chinese, and people are like, oh, she's not Welsh, she's not got a Welsh name, she don't look Welsh, but she was born in Wales, she's been brought up in Wales, so she is then, yeah, she is then Welsh. And then that got me thinking, like, do people see me as being English, or do they see me as being something else? Because I wouldn't know how to belong anywhere else, because I'm English all the way through.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, because it's funny when you say you go into all Black spaces. Sometimes when I go into all Black spaces, I don't feel as welcomed either, because of my neurodivergence, right? So though, and I honestly, I have a whole talk on it about how you can't pray the ADHD away. It's not going to be prayed away. You can't do deliverance on me. I was literally born this way, right? So actually, you do need to have accountancies for that. So I really fully get that. And so it was really, which is another reason why I created my networking spaces, because I needed that as well. I'm like, Black neurodivergence exists, Black LGBTQI members of the community exist, and we all need spaces to feel safe and nurtured as well, without this one only characteristic being the one thing that you're identifying us for. And actually, a lot of the needs that some of us have can't actually be seen. I don't have additional needs because I'm dark skinned, right? I'm just dark skinned. I'm just dark skinned. That's it. Like, I'm just dark skinned. Doesn't have additional needs, right? I just know maybe I use a different skin products than you do, or some skin products, you know. But in reality, the additional needs that I do have are actually sometimes when I come into a space and there's like a heavy PA system and there's too much noise, I'm going to need somewhere quiet to be able to go, and I need you to be conscious of that because of my neurodivergence. And so sometimes when I go into these spaces that are all Black, and this is a whole other story, you might want to do a whole other thing on this, I don't feel Black enough. I'm the wrong flavour, right? I'm the wrong flavour of Blackness because I don't meet the standard or the criteria of the type of Black person that you're expecting to turn up here. I'm not a serial entrepreneur with 17 businesses and all of this stuff. I've just got I manage the one, right? I've got the one, and whatever ideas I put into that. I've got 2 kids as well. I've got kids to sort out. Like, I'm a
and a husband.
And a husband. Like, exactly. Like, I don't know how you are doing this, but I've done this in my way. This is my version of success.
Yeah, I love the way you talk about. I love that you've brought this up. Rochelle and Regina about the not black enough and everything else, because one thing I was going to add to the flavor is that just because you walk into an event where there's loads of black women or men, it doesn't mean that you're going to connect with any of them anyway.
Oh, yeah.
That's a whole different
That's
thing.
a whole other shadeism.
Listen, because you've got the ancestral trauma then kicking off and the competitiveness and the coming from lack and everything else. So I think when we're talking about spaces where, you know, people feel sort of like aligned with and stuff, and there's similarity, similarity doesn't equals synchronization. I think is the right thing. I mean, I know for sure that I definitely don't speak like a lot of black people, you know, and I can switch my accent into, like, one guy at the event over the weekend was saying, he goes, "Did you just switch to Nigerian then?" I went, I was like, only because I'm having a go at you, like jokingly and stuff. And I went into like the whole Nigerian mama. I'm not even Nigerian, right? That he was like, you're talking Nigerian like a Nigerian person. But overall, when I wake up in the morning, this is how I speak. So anything else is put on, everything else is learned and what have you. And when sometimes you may go to an event, and I've been to Cameroonian events, for example, which is where my parents come from. I'll go to Cameroonian events and I literally know it's almost like she's not one of us, because you speak differently, you eat food that we would never eat, that we don't like. You go to events, you go to white events where we would question going to that. You know what I mean? So it's like it's that whole thing of fitting in. And I think the most important thing in events is turning up as you, knowing what you want from it, being unapologetic, and also knowing what your standards are as well. Knowing what your standards are, like how you're spoken to, what you're going to tolerate. I think as women as well, we tend to want to be very polite. So sometimes we listen to conversations that we don't want to listen to. Like, so if somebody comes up to you and says, well, you know, I want to know why we can't say the N-word and stuff. It's like, sometimes it's very easy to go, well, I don't want to show myself up because I'm in an event where there's other people. So I'll listen to this nonsense while I'm raging down. I just walk. Like,
in all honesty, my response to that was, why do you just so desperately want to say it?
Why you need to say it? But I have a question though. I have a question, because there is a lot of responsibility that's placed on people who are the organizers of events. You know, there is a lot of responsibility. And I have seen this online where people are trying everything that they can to attract a diverse audience. And it's just not landing for the right people, the diverse audience is not interested. So if I happen to go to a place like that, because I've seen the effort that somebody's making to be inclusive and stuff like that, I get there and I'm the only person who is, and it's not just a race thing, just, you know, it just does not look like an inclusive event. What responsibility is there, or is there any responsibility on us as the audience, who are the minority? What lies on our shoulders, if anything, when we get to events like this? I know I sit down and I hope people will come speak to me. That's a confidence issue, which obviously I need to change. But what can I do? Because I know some hosts are trying everything they can, you know, and it's just not landing, you know?
For me, inclusivity is, and because I've been on this journey, I can tell you what my approach is, and it's about building trust.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
So I'm now making a very conscious effort to bring more people who look like me into the network, because I love that I'm a safe space for neurodivergence and for people with disabilities and for members of the LGBTQI community. But I know that as a Black woman in our LGBTQI community, there's a hell of a lot of work that we need to do, because we're the ones who hurt them the most, right? We're the ones who hurt them the most. Whether we say it or not, we're your mothers and we hurt you.
Yes.
Right? And so I know that we have a lot of trust to build in that. So I'm now actively going into spaces where I'm the only, where I know that actually they're not expecting to see me because I'm not a member of that community. But I'm like, I want to understand it. I want to understand what your needs are. What are your trust issues? What are they? What can I do? So actively go into these spaces. And this is proximity. This is why I love Danny Wallace, right? Because One of the things that piqued my biggest, and we all love a 10 toes down, don't we? Like, Danny's amazing. Danny actively goes into spaces where she's going to be the only white woman. So she can even just get a taste of what it feels like.
Yeah.
And I actively saw her doing that. And I remember her just going live and going, whoa, I've just got a taste of what that feels like, because that was bloody frightening, right? And I'm like, yes, that's what we need to do. So I'm actively going in and trying to understand and building the trust. And actually, again, when it comes down to the bare bones of it, I might just have made a new friend, right? Really amazing.
Yeah, do you know what? So I agree with everything you're saying. I also think, because I think that people, in some cases, there is the need to be inclusive because there's pressure in the space to be inclusive. And sometimes, as a result of that, people are going for the what, the what, as in, how can I explain it? No, they're going for the who rather than the what. So they're going, well, we're all inclusive and stuff. We would like members of the LGBTQ to be in here. We would love people of color to be in here and stuff, rather than going for the pain of what people are. And I'm not saying that I'm an expert on the whole messaging front, but I'm more interested in, if you can connect to my pain, that has nothing to do with being a Black woman, I will be there. But if you're, and I think sometimes a lot of the events are they want to be seen to be including. And then when they run the events, these people don't turn up because actually, in your words, they don't feel safe because again, they're like, well, you're just doing it for lip service. You're doing it for lip service. So you're doing it so that you can be seen to have ticked the page, which I hate. You tick the page, but it's like when the events happen. And I'll tell you something as well. I've also seen people where initially they've tried to play the game of inclusivity, and now that the pressure's gone and stuff, when you look at the overall, it's just all white. And again, I'm coming from a place where I don't see it as much. I don't see the whole color thing as much, but even I notice it and I go, oh. But equally, here's another question though, because if I'm somebody who is, I don't know, a white male or a white female or other, because this isn't an attack on white people and stuff.
A race thing, yeah.
But equally, if I have promoted and said I'm all inclusive, but then either the people that are coming in are not doing a great job, or they're just not coming in, what else can I do? Because that's another side of the fence as well. Because if you're coming in and you're not reliable, you're and listen, let's not pretend we have got black man time. We have got black man time. And listen.
Yeah, I run on that time. Sorry.
Yeah, we've got it. We've got
I've got a white man at home that runs on that time.
Listen, your fault. But we've got this whole thing, and it's like, what then is that person expected to do? Because all of a sudden it's like, I don't ever want someone to feel as if they're treading eggshells and stuff. So maybe, and I'm going to call out Regina here, maybe Regina, you need to do the education that, you know what I mean? Because I'm hosting something in September. I'm hosting an event called An Audience with the Oracle. It is going to be very exclusive. But I promise you this stuff, I ain't going to be talking about Black people, white people, LGBT. I'm going like, these are the people that I want, as in this is the pain, come to it. The only reason why I'm doing that though is because I just don't want to sort of like start chasing down a route of trying to convince people to come.
And you're absolutely right about speaking to the pain, and that's exactly what I do, because the reality of the situation is that when you come from, and it's like extensive research, when you come from a marginalized community and there's trauma based under that, it's harder for you to show up. It's harder for you to show up. So what I'm saying is, we've created a space where you can come in and you can thrive, and you can build connections, and you can build community that is going to hold you as you build your business, that are going to stand behind you, that are going to talk about you amazingly when you're not in the room, and regardless of your marginalization is. And what I have noticed is that actually the LGBTQI community, because of what's happening in the world at the moment, they are the ones that feel the least safe. They are the ones that feel the least likely to be able to turn up, to show up, to speak their truth, to really be visible in their businesses. And that's exactly why I'm like, you guys, I know you're hiding, which means I've got to come and find you, rather than just you saying, I'm the space here, because actually with everything that's going on in the world, that's just not enough. So I've got to stand up, I've got to put my big girl pants on and go into this space. I've now got to do the scary thing, because I'm asking you to do the scary thing and come into my space. But actually, no, maybe I take those first steps and hold your hand and slowly get you to say.
Let me give an example of how that didn't work well, Regina. And if I remember correctly, I've seen you go head to head with this particular person. I won't mention any names on Facebook, and I don't know if you're still friends. I observed just very briefly something that happened. I'm still quite new and I don't know who is who. But when I thought, oh, I don't know what's going on here, but I've seen, and I don't know if you're still friends. But I'm thinking, who is actually this person, and are we friends? And I go up to see how we became friends, and I thought, oh, I wonder if Regina became friends the same way I did, because this is somebody who put a call out on Facebook that she wants more Black women in her circle. So people tagged me, and I thought, brilliant, I'll have a new friend, thank you very much. She'd never spoken to me.
Yeah, she's the same one who called me a white witch hunter.
Is that her?
Yeah.
She added me, and I thought, you asked to have more people like me in your circle. You've added me. Hi. Not a word.
Yeah, and that's why I'm all about the practicing what you preach. And it's about really caring, because I really do care. I really give a shit. I really want you to succeed. Now, I don't want people who are just like, I don't want a virtue signaling friend. I don't want you to be friends with me just because I'm a Black woman. I want you to be friends with me because I'm an amazing friend.
Human being.
I'm your friend. I'm going to friend the hell out of you. Right?
I don't want to be your friend because I'm a Black woman.
I tell people, don't be calling me. I'm not your token. You know when you talk about, I have a Black friend who, it's not me. Oh, I have a Black. I'm not one of those. Yes.
Rochelle, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I feel like I might be I'm not a token Black friend in my group, but I am in my close circle of friends. I am the only person who's not white, so I can feel like that. For instance, we're going to Butlins for a 90s weekender, and we're going as the Spice Girls, and I've literally, this is the anger that's gone with me since I was like 7. I always get made to be Scary Spice. I don't want to be Scary Spice. I want to be Sporty Spice. Because you're brown, you've got to be Scary Spice. And I'm like, I don't want to be scary.
You don't have to be Scary Spice and stuff. It's like, good for you. So what are you going as?
Well, probably Scary Spice. But I think what's interesting actually is because
you go Scary Spice, I'm coming there and I'm going to kick off.
Yeah, but listen to this. So as a child, as a mixed race child, I looked at Scary Spice and she kind of looked like me. And I didn't feel like I was like attractive. I wasn't blonde. I wasn't petite. I wasn't this person. And that's who I saw Scary Spice as, somebody who was similar to me. Whereas now, as an adult, I'm looking at people and I'm looking at Scary Spice. I'm going, she's beautiful. She's one of the, she's so attractive. I'm looking at people like Beyonce and I'm seeing myself in these people and I'm going like, no, I don't need to be that blonde, petite person. I don't need to be like that white, sporty person. I can be me. So I can be Scary Spice. I feel like I'm over it. I'm almost over it.
You're over it. You're almost over it. Listen, already from this, there's so many topics we can talk about and stuff. It's like I wanted to talk about the whole fact that people used to call Scary Spice as angry, as the angry Black woman. That's a whole different conversation.
It's the angry Black woman, isn't it?
That we can talk about. This had nothing to do with race, which is so funny and stuff. But again, we are talking about our lived experiences in events, and I guess as a panel, of us and stuff, it's like that's what's come out and what have you. I'm so sure that if Liz Bateson was here, she's hosting another event, which is why she's not here. But if she was here as well, she'd come up with her own, because she's someone that I can comfortably say she goes to events. She literally goes for a minimum amount of time and then she disappears. She never stays for the whole duration. She literally goes. And Liz, if you meet her, she looks like a white woman. She actually has Egyptian heritage, which is hilarious because she doesn't look it at all. It's just that it was never the intention when we built this panel to have these people in. It was mainly their souls that we connected to rather than their colors. But listen, we're running out of time and we could talk about this all day. But when you go to an event, please do it intentionally. Please set your standards. Please go to places where you know that you can add value, but also you want to receive value. And if in doubt, you have got Regina here, who is doing the incredible work at Network. You've got those of us here, the three of us here, who also have been to events and have come out with incredible results. I didn't tell you guys, but I actually got gifted a venue for my event yesterday in France, and I also got
Wow.
I also got told I could have a yacht, which has been a dream of mine for ages.
Oh yeah, I'm coming.
I was going to say, what can I have the dates? Send
So
dates.
you got 3 black women at your event, you dog ass now, all right?
Yeah.
That's all. That's all you need.
Listen, and all because I spoke to someone who I didn't know and
Yeah.
got told afterwards that this person had several connections. Now, whether anything comes out of those offers, I have no idea, but it's always a pleasure to see you guys. I can see like there's about 5 or 6 people on here. You haven't said hello. Ask us questions, comments later on. We will get back to you. Subscribe to our YouTube channel so that we can then keep on coming back to you and having conversations. And if there's any topics that you would like us to talk about, then please do. You can also find us all individually in our own social media venues as well. But from me to you, sending you so much love. Have a great week.
Thanks for having me.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
I had a